Yo, what's up? Here we are back. NASCAR Xfinity Series slate. Las Vegas playoffs start this week. Got a big weekend of racing. We got Vegas Truck Series, Cup Series, Xfinity Series. Already got the Truck Series video out, so go make sure to check that out. And the Cup Series video I'll be recording right after this, so both of those will be out about the same time. So be sure to check out both those. If you're new to this channel, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, turn a notification bell. All those things really help me out. It's the biggest way you can really help me. I mean, I'm not gonna make you pay anything. It's just free. Just hit that little like button and hit that subscribe, and that helps a ton. So if you want to get more of my content, you can always subscribe to my Patreon. Only $10 a month. You're gonna get articles for every single series, for every race, for every single series, along with salary rankings, cash cores, projections, the spreadsheet you're seeing right here. So be sure to check all that stuff out for only $10 a month for all three series combined, not just one. But I think that's really all I got to say. So let's get into the drivers, where we're going to start out with, coming off a win last week at Bristol, Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe and Austin Cindric, who are the first two, got to be the championship favorites. I mean, right? They've just had an insane year, and I think they look to continue it as the playoffs start. Chase Briscoe is the more expensive one, starting on the pole. He has the 6th best average finish at Las Vegas, the 7th best at intermediate tracks, and the 4th best at steep tracks. When we go look at laps led, he does have 90 laps led at Las Vegas, which is, I believe, the third most. Yep, third most. He has 526 at intermediates and 392 at steep tracks. So this is a track that fares pretty well for Chase Briscoe. When we go look at fast laps, 67 fast laps at Vegas for him, along with 306 intermediates and 311 at steep tracks. In the last 5 races, Briscoe has an average finish of 9.8 and 169 laps led, which is the second most in the field. And the first most in the field is Justin Algar, who isn't probably going to lead us on laps this race. So I think he looks like the best dominator in my opinion here. We saw him lead laps in this race earlier in the year. I think he can run very, very well at this track and contend for the win for sure. Starting on the pole, he's got great track position. I don't know if he's going to be too highly owned because he does start on that pole, and I don't think I don't think anybody really in the Xfinity Series is just like a lock to lead a ton of laps unless you go to Bristol and it's Justin Allgaier. But outside of that, there's not really one driver that you feel like is ever just a lock to lead laps. So Chase Briscoe, definitely someone I got a lot of interest in. Austin Cindric's $11,300. He starts second. He only has the 10th best finish at or 10th best average finish at Las Vegas, but he is 5th at intermediates and 5th at steep tracks. When we go look at laps led, he has 40 at Vegas, 595 at intermediates, and 161 at steep tracks. When we go look at the last 5 races, he has an average finish of 6.2 and 114 laps led. Austin Cindric has been very, very good at the 1.5 mile tracks this year. Dominated the doubleheader at Kentucky. There's just been tracks that he's just been dominating at, these 1.5 mile tracks. Led a ton at Atlanta. I believe he won Kansas. So just he's been really, really solid. Starting second, I think they're like 1A and 1B for me. They're both the same play, honestly. I think they both have the same amount of potential lead laps. Both have the same amount of upside. Both can win a race. So I love going to both these guys. They're my top 2 dominator plays, and they probably are for most people as well, but that's just who I want to go to. Daniel Hemric's too expensive. $11,000 is just too expensive for Daniel Hemric. For a guy that's probably going to run inside a top 10, that's about it. Has the 5th best average finish at Vegas. He has the 4th best average finish at intermediate tracks and 7th at steep tracks. When we go look at laps led, he only has 1 lap led at Vegas, only 258 at intermediates and 85 at steep tracks. If you just look at the laps led compared to all the other drivers around him, I mean, it's just way, way less at the intermediate tracks, so there's just less likely that he's going to be a dominator in my opinion. When we go look at the last 5 races, an average finish of 21 and 0 laps led. I don't really want to go there. I think he's just way too expensive. If he was about $1,000, maybe $2,000 cheaper, I'd be willing to go there. But for $11,000, I just don't really want to go there. Justin Allgaier's $10,600, starting third. He has the 2nd best average finish at Vegas, 2nd best average finish at intermediate tracks, and 3rd at steep tracks. He has 106 laps led at Las Vegas, which is the second most, 623 intermediates and 921 at steep tracks. But see, the thing with Allgaier this year is he hasn't been a lap leader a ton at the intermediate tracks. Like, those are all from the past 2 seasons. This year he hasn't led a ton. And I just don't think that he really has the upside, in my opinion, to really go out there and dominate. Yeah, he has 352 laps led in the last 5 races, but that's a Bristol race and 2 Dover races, which are like the 2 best tracks for Justin Allgaier. An 8.2 average finish in the last 5 as well. So Justin Allgaier, I think he's a good play, but starting third, I don't think he's got a lot of upside to go, and I think just Chase Briscoe and Austin Cindric are more likely to lead laps. He probably will be lower owned, so I think that's a fine way to go, but I think I'd rather go Briscoe and Cindric here. Noah Gregson, $10,300, starting 6th. He has the best average finish at Vegas, 3rd best at intermediates, and the best average finish at steep tracks. When we go look at laps led, only 2 at Vegas, but 426 at intermediates and 156 at steep tracks. In the last 5 races, Gregson has an average finish of 6 and 54 laps led. Gregson's definitely someone I think is like a sneaky dominator play here, because I think a lot of people are going to look to Briscoe and Cindric, as you should, but Noah Gregson, this is a steep track, and Noah Gregson's notoriously very good. The steep tracks, the tracks you can drive around the outside of the track. And I mean, this is a track where there's multiple grooves. You can drive around the outside and the inside, but if he can, we've seen him just dominate these outside groove tracks. I mean, Homestead, Miami Speedway should have won both those races, but didn't. We've seen him win at Bristol. We've seen him. What was the other track? Darlington, he's done very, very well at. So these are just tracks that he can do very good at, and I think Noah Gregson's definitely someone who is an under the radar type of dominator play, someone I'll definitely look for in tournaments. Ross Chastain at 10,800 starting fourth, 10,000 starting fourth. He has the 7th best average finish at Vegas, 10th at intermediates, and 9th at steep tracks. When we go look at lap slate, he's got 180 at Las Vegas, which is the most in the field, 486 at intermediate tracks, and 338 at steep tracks. When we go look at the last 5 races, Ross Chastain has the best average finish in the field at 3rd and 164 laps led. Chastain's been running very, very well, and this week he just got promoted to a cup ride, so I think there's some extra motivation for him to get a win before the season's out, and this is a track where he's had success at leading a ton of laps. We saw him lead a ton of laps at Vegas earlier this year. Wasn't able to pull out the win, but I mean, we saw him lead the laps. So Chastain, definitely someone I've got a lot of interest in. I definitely want to roster him. I don't think a lot of people are ever going to play him. A lot of people just don't play Ross Chastain anyway, but I think he's got some upside. He can lead laps, been running really, really well, and he's just not going to be as highly owned. So definitely someone I want to get some ownership on is Ross Chastain. So I think Chase Briscoe and Austin Cindric are the top tier dominators, and then you have Gregson and Chastain, who I think are very likely to dominate this race as well, but they're not as they're like the B tier. So I think these are the guys you got to go for. I definitely want. If I'm playing, if I'm maxing out a tournament, I want shares of all 4 of these guys. I'd probably rank them. I think Cindric 1, Briscoe 2, I'd say Chastain 3, Gregson 4. I think that's the way I'd rank them. But I think all 4 of them are very solid options and very good choice to dominate this race. Justin Haley, $9,800 starting 10th. He has the 11th best average finish at Vegas, 8th best at intermediates, and 10th best at steep tracks. 0 laps led at Vegas, only 25 at intermediate tracks, and 8 at steep tracks. This just isn't the type of track where he does well at. Average finish 8.2 in the last 5 races and 58 laps led. I don't think Haley's someone I really want to get to too much this week. This isn't a track where he's probably going to succeed. He'll probably hang around top 10, get a top 10 finish, but that's just not going to be enough of that salary. Harrison Burton starts 5th at 9,600. He has the 3rd best average finish at Vegas, best at intermediates, and 2nd best at steep tracks. He's very good at the intermediate tracks, runs very, very well, but 0 laps led at Vegas and only 74 at intermediates and 81 at steep tracks is definitely concerning. Harrison Burton's a guy who always seems to hang around the front. He's just never out front. He's just not a guy who's going to lead you a ton of laps, but he does have the upside to do it. He just doesn't do it that often, but he definitely can. He's definitely someone who's, I think, going to go a little bit under the radar again, and I think he'll get a good finish. He should get a top 5 finish. He's an 8.4 average finish and 11 laps led. I mean, here, I'll shoot you into my projections a little bit, which I shouldn't do, but I'm pretty sure I have him projected for 2nd place. Yeah, I have him at 2nd place finish right now as my projection. So Harrison Burton, definitely someone I want some ownership on. Brandon Jones at $9,400 starts 7th. He is the 4th best average finish at Vegas, 6th best at intermediates, and 5th best at steep tracks. When we go look at laps led, 0 at Las Vegas, 208 at intermediate tracks, and 178 at steep tracks. In the last 5 races, he has an average finish at 8.6 and 26 laps led. Won a race at Darlington not too long ago, but that was kind of lucky. He probably shouldn't have finished 3rd in that race, honestly, if Chastain and Hamilton didn't wreck themselves coming with 2 laps to go. But Brandon Jones, 9,400, he's going to run well here, should have a good finish. I just don't think the upside's really there for him to lead a ton of laps. I mean, he can. I feel like it's more likely he will than Harrison Burton, but I think he's fine, just not someone I really want to go to. Mike Snyder is going to be a full void here, $9,100 starting 32nd. It seems like ever since they've been eliminated from the playoffs, the team has just given him terrible equipment. They haven't been giving him top-tier equipment, so he hasn't ran at Vegas, but the 14th best average finish at intermediates and 13th at steep tracks. No laps led. In the last 5 races, an average finish of 22.4. I just don't think he's got the upside. I don't really want to start him starting in 32nd. He's just too expensive, $9,100. I think there's better options I can go to, like Brett Moffitt at $8,800 starting 20th. 15th best average finish at Vegas, 15th at intermediates, and 17th at steep tracks. When we go look at, he's not going to lead you any laps, but does have 25 laps led at intermediates and 25 at steep tracks. All those came at Dover. That's an intermediate and a steep track, but a much shorter track than here. I wouldn't really compare Dover that much to Vegas, but those stats do come up. Last 5 races, average finish is 16.4, 25 laps led. I think he can have a good run. He has top 10 upside, top 10 potential, so definitely someone to get some exposure on tournaments, but not like a lock play. Anthony Alfredo starts 8th, hasn't raced at Vegas, but 11th best average finish at intermediate tracks and 14th at steep tracks, and 9 laps led at intermediate tracks. In the last 5 races, Alfredo, though, has not been running as great as he had been earlier in the year. 17th best average finish. So probably not someone to get a ton of exposure on. I mean, just starts too high. I don't think he's really got a lot of upside to get inside that top 5. Not someone I really want to go to. Riley Herbst in the playoffs, $8,400. 7th best average finish at Vegas, 9th best at intermediates, and 12th best at steep tracks. When we go look at laps led, he has none at. He's not going to lead you laps. Riley Herbst isn't going to lead you laps. He's in the JGR car, but he's really just not that good. Last 5 races, an average finish of 12.6 and 0 laps led. But the thing with Riley Herbst is he can get you up inside the top 5. Like, if he doesn't, it's like Riley Herbst is either going to be like a top 8 or a bust. Like, he's going to record, he's going to get you like a top 8, top 5. So he can compete up there. I think it was Auto Club earlier this year where he had a really, really good run at, and I think he finished like 3rd or something. It was one of these 2 races. So I'm pretty sure it was like 95% sure it was the Auto Club race. So I mean, we know Herbst can run up front, do really well. So I think he's someone I always take shots on Riley Herbst in tournaments because I know the upside's there for a really high finish. I also know the downside's there. Never want to play him in cash like ever, but in tournaments definitely viable. Michael Annett, $8,200 starting 13th. He has the 9th best average finish at Vegas, 11th best at intermediates, and 11th best at steep tracks. When we go look at the last 5 races, he has an average finish of 7.8 and 5 laps led. I think Michael Annett is definitely someone who's going to go under the radar. Not a lot of people ever play Michael Annett. No one's ever excited to play Michael Annett, myself included. There have definitely been times where I have not played Michael Annett and gotten burned by it because he just does really well. We know he has a top 5 upside, could definitely run inside the top 5 for this race, so definitely someone I want to get some exposure to. Not a top tier guy, but definitely a tournament play for me. Ryan Sieg, same thing, tournament play, $8,100. 12th best average finish at Vegas, 13th at intermediates, and 15th at steep tracks. When we go look at the last 5 races for Ryan Sieg, an average finish of 11.2 and 22 laps led. He can definitely get up inside that top 10, maybe contend for a top 5. So I think he's a solid option. He's who all that, like him and Snyder are on the same team. They're giving all the good equipment to Ryan Sieg now. So I just think that he actually has upside to do really well. Timmy Hill, 7,900, starting 21st. He's not a guy we ever look at his past history. We go look at recently, and it has not been good. 35.5. You always got to look at what car Timmy Hill's driving because he's on that team where you have Chad Fincham, Timmy Hill, and Stephen Light. They all switch around cars, and whichever one's actually in the good car this weekend is the good one. Timmy Hill has not been in a good car, so I don't want to go there. Even if he was in a good car starting 21st, I wouldn't really be too confident in the 7,900, so not someone I'm going to go to. Jeremy Clements, 7,700, starting 15th. I think it's a fine play. I don't know. Last 5 races for Jeremy Clements, average finish 19.6. It's just not somewhere I really want to go to. I don't think the upside's there for him to really do all that great. So probably not someone I'm going to stay away from. Same thing with Greg Galding. Like, he'll probably hang around 17th. He's not going to move up anywhere. So I think he's just not someone I really want to get too much exposure to. Brandon Brown at 11th, starting 11th, though, I think is someone that is going to go obviously under own. He always goes under own. Only the 14th best average finish at Vegas, 18th at intermediates, and 18th at steep tracks. When we go look at the last 5 races, an average finish of 15.2. So, but Brandon Brown, like he's just a guy who out of nowhere will end up in the top 10, top 5. Like he'll just be, well, top 5 no, but top 10. He'll get these random top 10 finishes, and so I know he has the upside to get up there and maybe get like an 8th place finish. That'd be very valuable at $7,300. So definitely someone to keep an eye on and maybe throw in some tournament lineups. Alex Lebaye, 7,100, starting 16th. 16th best average finish at Vegas, 22nd at intermediates, 21st at steep tracks. Last 5 races, an average finish of 18.75. I just think he's going to hang around up his starting position, maybe drop a little bit. I don't think there's really any reason to play Alex Lebaye in this race. Vinnie Miller, 6,900, starting 35th. He's just way too expensive for his starting price. In the last 5 races, Vinnie Miller's an average finish of 31.2. So you really want to go there? Because I really don't. So that's just not someone I'm going to go to. Austin Hill, $6,700, starting 29th. I think that's a good play to go to. He in his one race recently where he raced at, it was either Bristol or Dover, I don't remember. He finished 9th. I don't think he's going to do that again, but he's in like not horrible equipment and he outdrives it. So I don't hate going there for $6,700, starting 29th. I think he's an okay play. Not someone I'm going to get a ton of ownership on, but definitely someone to have some exposure to. Stefan Parsons, starting 26th. He's racing for BJ Mcleod Motorsports. He has the 26th best average finish at intermediates and 26th at steep tracks. Last 5 races, an average finish of 27. Just doesn't have a lot of room to go up. Not someone I really want to get a ton of ownership on. Tommy Joe Martin starts 22nd. Last 5 races for Tommy Joe Martins have actually been better, 20.6 average finish. I think he's a fine option to go down here for in tournaments, but probably wouldn't go there in GPPs. If you want to play Chad Fincham, I just said that. I said that so wrong. Probably someone I want to go to in tournaments, but not cash. Chad Fincham starts 36, $6,200. If you want to go there, I think he's fine, but probably not someone I want to get a ton of ownership on. 25.6 last in his average finish in the last 5 races. He just feels a little bit expensive. Like that team that he's on, I mean, they just can like mess up bad and have really bad races sometimes. So probably not someone I want to get a ton of exposure to. BJ Mcleod starts $5,800 in the last 5 races for BJ Mcleod. He has an average finish of 25.4. Has actually not ran terrible on the intermediate tracks this year. So I think that's someone I'm definitely interested in getting some exposure to. I think a lot of people will probably just go to Finch him. So BJ Mcleod definitely someone I've got some interest in. Joe Graf at $5,700 starts 27th. 19th best average finish at Vegas isn't that bad. Last 5 races, average finish of 21.6. He can get you a top 20. That's probably about it. So at that price range, that's pretty valuable for that. Josh Williams, 5,600, starts 18th. He's been running bad recently. Last 5 races, average finish of 21.6. Like, that's bad for Josh Williams. Like, that's obviously for a lot of these guys down here. Probably not someone I want to get a ton of exposure to, but if you want to go there, I think that's okay. But I'd rather go to like Graf or Mcleod or even Jesse Little starting 24th. I mean, he had Little at a 14th place run at Vegas earlier this year. So that's always nice. In the last 5 races, an average finish of 24.4. He can compete for a top 20, and that's pretty much what you're asking for down here. Jeffrey Earnhardt starts 19th. His last 5 races, he has an average finish of 21.6. I don't think he starts far enough back for me to really want to get there, so not someone I'm going to go to. Colby Howard, $5,000, starts 25th. In the last 5 races, he has an average finish of 27.25. We've seen Colby Howard been able to run up inside a top 15 in the past, so I think he's someone that's interesting for cash too. Like, he's just been getting into some accidents recently and just hasn't really been going well for him. But this is a track where there's not going to be a ton of accidents like Bristol or Richmond, so I think this is a track where he could do well at, so I don't hate going to Colby Howard at all. And then Cody Vanderwaal, Dexter Mead, and Matt Mills, they're not good. They're going to pretty much just run around the back the whole race, so I don't really want to get there at all. If you want to take a shot on Matt Mills, that's fine. He had a few top 20 runs not too long ago, but last week seemed to go back down to what he was. So, but yeah, I think that's really all I got to say on this video. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe on the channel. It's free. Helps me out a ton. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hope you guys have a great rest of your day.